This is a short demonstration on our dZ4LW3 computer and our dZ4L3 computer. The dZ4LW3 is a wireless computer, so it has a wireless transmitter, while the dZ4L3 is a wired version, so it has a wiring harness and a sensor connected to wire to the handlebar mount. The functions and features of both computers are identical, just one is wired and one is wireless. And we're going to go through the functions and features of the units, how to program them. At the end, we're going to talk a little bit more about the dZ4LW3 wireless computer and its sensor, and give you some more information on the linking between the two. So when you first get the computer and turn it on by pressing one of the buttons, you'll get into a screen like this. So this is the very first time you got the computer and turn it on. On the third line, you'll see two letters WS, which means wheel size, and on the fourth line, you'll get the numbers 2124. That is the wheel size value, which is basically the circumference of your wheel in millimeters. And to determine what your wheel size is, we have another video on our website in our frequently asked questions section on how to determine this value. But for this case, we're going to assume we've already determined our wheel size, and the value is 2230. So we're going to show you how to program and set up your computer right now, and the first thing we're going to do is program the wheel size. So if we assume 2230 is our wheel size, we got to change the numbers here because it says 2124. Now to change the value of the flashing digit, you basically press the right button a few times until you get to the value you want, and we want 0. So now we set up the first digit. To get to the next digit, you press the left button and you will see the 2 is flashing. So now we want to change that to 3. Once again, we press the right button once. We're at 3. We press the left button again. We get to the flashing 1. Now we want to change that to a 2. We press the right button. We have a 2. And now we press the left button, and the 2 is what we want. So now we've programmed our wheel size of 2230 into the computer. Now we want to continue on programming, so we press the left button to go to the next screen, and in this screen you will see kilometer an hour flashing. And so you could program the unit to have kilometers an hours, or if you press the right button, miles per hour. So the right button toggles between the two values. We want kilometers an hour, so we're going to leave it like it is now. To go to the next section, we press the left button, and now we can program the clock to be a 24-hour clock, or if you press the right button, a 12-hour clock. So we'd like 12-hour clock. We're going to leave it there. We're going to press the left button now, and now we're in clock setup mode. The hour is flashing, the number 12 is flashing, and we're going to say it's 4:15. So we're going to press the right button until we get to 4, and then we press the left button. Now the minute is flashing, and we'll press the right button until we get to 15. And there we go. So we're happy with that. Now we're going to press the left button, and we get into the main screen of the computer. The programming of the computer is done, and we're ready to go. If you finish programming the computer and then you realize that you want to change something, or you made a mistake, it's very easy to get back into the programming mode. Basically, you go into any screen and you could press and hold both buttons at the same time for about 5 seconds. All the elements will light up like that, and then you let go and you're back into the programming screen. So we were happy with the programming, so to get out of this again, we basically press the left button a bunch of times until we go through all the setup and get back to the main screen. So at one point you may want to change the values of your clock, odometer, or wheel size, and you might not want to go into setup mode. So there's another way to go and set up those 3 values only. If you press the right button and scroll through until you get to the clock screen. So on the third line it says CLK. You would then press and hold the left button for about 5 seconds, and then the value for clock hours will start flashing. And say for instance we just had daylight savings time and it's now 5:19, you would press the right button and that would change the value from 4 to 5. The 19 we're happy with. And then say you bought this is your new computer, and you had an old one that stopped working, but the odometer value was at 1,000 kilometers, and you wanted to put that value onto this one so you can continue riding and see how many kilometers you did for the whole year. You can actually program odometer. So we're going to put 1,000 kilometers on here. We're going to press the left button to move to the last digit on the left, and then we're going to press the right digit to 1. And so it's 1000.0, so 1,000 kilometers. And we're happy with that. Now we're going to press the left button and get into the wheel size. We're happy with the wheel size, so we're just going to press the left button a few times. But if you did want to change one of the values, of course you just press the right button and get to the value you want. We'll go back to 2. We'll press the left button again, and then once again we're back into the main screen. So that's how you can change your clock, odometer, or wheel size on the computer. So now we're going to go through the 2 different screens on this computer. The top line is always the same. It's always your speed in either kilometers an hour or miles per hour, depending on how you programmed it in setup mode. And the kilometers an hour, if it's kilometers an hour, then all the other values will be in the same units. If it's miles per hour, it'll be in those units. So on the second line in this screen, it says AVS. There's a plus and a 00. AVS means average speed, and the plus or minus indicates if your current speed is above or below average speed. So if you're riding currently and you're going, say, 20 kilometers an hour, but your average speed is actually 18 miles an hour, you will get a plus. If you're riding at 15 kilometers an hour and your average speed is 18 kilometers an hour, then it'll show a negative. The next line, it's your trip distance, and that will be in kilometers, and so that's the total distance for this ride. The next line is TM, which is trip timer, and that's how long you've been riding. Also, for the trip timer, if you stop and take a break, the timer will stop since you're no longer getting a speed reading, and you will no longer be accumulating time. So when you start up riding again, the timer will start up again. So if you do stop and take a break, after 5 minutes your computer will turn off. So once you start riding again, you can either press a button to turn on the computer and start accumulating time, or within a minute, once you start riding, your computer will turn on automatically, so it has auto start function. And to demonstrate that, we'll just get a transmitter, a magnet, and simulate riding. And if you take a look at the computer, once we do this for a bit, the computer will turn on and you will start accumulating data once again. So if you accidentally forget to turn back the computer on, once you start riding, it actually will turn on by itself. The next screen, if you press the right button, you go to the next screen. The top line is the same. The next line is maximum speed, so the fastest you've ever ridden today, whatever the top speed was, that's the value. The third line is clock, and the fourth line is odometer. So basically there's 2 screens. It's super easy. Most likely you'll want to be in this screen, so current speed, average speed, distance, and timer is probably where you want to be most of the time. So you don't have to push buttons, you go down, get all the information you want in one screen. And that is the functions of the computer. So this is an explanation on how to clear out your data, your trip data, once you're finished a ride. It will clear out average speed, distance, timer, and maximum speed. So you go into the trip timer screen, you press and hold the left button for a few seconds, and as you see the data cleared out, if you press the right button, you'll see that maximum speed is cleared out. So that's how you clear out the data once you finish a ride. So this is a short demonstration on how to change the battery on your computer, and it's the same for either computers or for the wireless computer, the transmitter. And what you want to do is turn over the computer and get to where the battery cover is. There will be a slot on the center of the battery cover. Get a big coin. Don't use a small coin, use a big coin, otherwise you could damage the slot. And you just want to put the coin in the slot and turn it about a third of a turn, and the cap will pop off. The battery, as you see the orientation of the battery, the plus faces upwards. Now to get the battery out, I usually just bump it on a hard surface, but make sure you don't hit too hard. You don't want to damage the computer. The battery will come out, and then you want to replace the battery. So the battery type is a CR2032, and you get these at most shops. If you bought the computer at Mountain Equipment Co-op, you can actually get replacement batteries for pretty cheap there. And then you just, to put it back on, it's very easy. Just do the reverse. You put the battery in place. You want to make sure the plus is facing you, and then there's actually a little seal here, so you want to make sure that it's seated properly and it's not dirty or grimy. And also on the back of the battery cover, you want to make sure this surface is nice and clean, no dirt, because if there's dirt or grime or the seal is not seated properly, the unit may not be waterproof anymore. And then you just take the cap, put it in place, and it should seat flat. Get your coin again, and then turn the cap about a third of a turn until it stops. And now the cover is back installed, and you've replaced the battery. And just when you do replace the battery on the computer, you'll see digits light up, and you'll be back into initial setup mode, and all the data will be cleared out. And that will be the same process for either the wireless computer and the sensor. So that's the end of our video on the functions and features and how to program the dZ4LW3 computer and the dZ4L3 wired computer.